I want to share this idea of what it's like to be 105 IQ. Um, I took an IQ test at 4 a.m. once, just in the middle of the night, because I had to know where my place fell in society according to some people. And there's deer around me right now, so you might see them in the background. But I wanted to talk about like whether or not that statistic is true, because there's a lot of variables. It was the online Mensa test, like the free version, so it's definitely not accurate. But we're gonna say it is, right? Because we need to talk about this idea. People people have this idea that like everyone's a genius, especially on Twitter. Everyone has this like notion that only the top 1% IQ deserve any say in society at all times. And while I gotta say, I do respect their opinion more because of their genetic advantage. I'm not even gonna say privilege, it's just a genetic advantage, simple as it is. Um, I'm still going to say that, we lower IQ people may may deserve less of a say, but we still deserve somewhat of a say, especially if you're above the average medium, which is 100 IQ. Um, and I want to talk about how I see my own lack of genius in my own life, okay? And this isn't like a bad thing. This is something that is completely natural and is a part of the human experience. Even the highest IQ people, there's still someone that is a part of the 1% that's a lot higher than them, the 0.001%, the 0.1%. And what is the difference between how they operate? Well, I just know for me on a personal level, I'm high enough IQ where I can definitely see low impulse control, or at least lower impulse control than what I'd like, especially when it comes to things like addictions and vices. I can tell that I can become easily addicted to something. Now, I'm going to say my ability to tell is a part of that 5 IQ points above average, right? But I still can get easily addicted to something. And I'm sure a lot of people who are higher IQ can as well. So it's just a variable of this intelligence and this awareness. Another thing is being creative enough to develop new perspectives that aren't repeats of someone else's. I'm in this position where it's harder for me to be creative 100% of the time and just think of constant flowing new ideas that no one's ever thought of before. But I'm still aware of the fact that I'm not having the best ideas all the time that are completely new. Uh, a lot of times I can feel a sense of jealousy when I see someone create new ideas that haven't been put out there before so easily, like every day. And I can understand that, they're probably higher IQ, and that's an okay thing. Now, when I say I'm experiencing a sense of jealousy, it's not like extremely strong. I'm just like, dang it, why didn't I think of that? Because once you hear it, you're like, wow, that's such an easy way to see it. Why did that not come into my head, like as a thought? And whether people want to admit it or not, because people are so obsessed with the idea of hard work, a lot of these creative ideas come from the subconscious, which does tie into IQ. It is something that like flows into your head randomly, um, sort of like a shower thought, like the Redditors say. And you have an ability to influence this to an extent, but some people, I do believe, are naturally more inclined to have these ideas faster. And I'm saying that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. We need to have diversity in these types of abilities. And the way you can change yours is so drastic that it doesn't even matter. Um, Most of the time. I mean, like, unless you're extremely low IQ or extremely high IQ, uh, yeah, then if you're average, it doesn't necessarily matter that much to see it this way. Another thing about being in the average IQ, or maybe a little bit above average, is that you become aware of how many people that includes that are below average, and how easily people are not able to grasp a lot of things in this world about life itself, or how easily they forget these things. We have to ask ourselves, why are we in this place in society, in the world that we are now with these sets of problems? Because if we were all super geniuses, the world would look a lot different. But even then, we wouldn't be able to, we would have just a new set of problems. How much further would it have to take to become, uh, in basic terms, like super intelligent, be aware of everything on Earth at all times, or like in the universe, like figure out the keys to the universe? Because obviously, our awareness itself is an answer to the larger problem of figuring out life. And while we're moving, or we like to think we're moving on the right path for now, we can also be taking a step backwards. And we've seen where societies don't really progress as fast as we like them to because of this like IQ obstacle. So for myself, I'm aware of these unknowns. It's like blank spaces in answers to life. And I'm aware that not really many people can solve these things. But just like when you have a problem that you can't afford to fix, it feels the same way. I'm sure people with higher IQ are able to come over problems such as like self-doubt and let's say how they look about themselves. Someone with higher IQ is able to rationalize the way they look because of their genetics and how to go about life with that than someone with lower IQ. Someone with lower IQ is probably going to be more insecure longer because they get stuck in mental loops easier about the negative pathways of thinking of seeing themselves. An example is that the way you look, you're going to notice the flaws a lot more than other people. Someone with higher IQ is going to be able to connect these dots and see, oh, okay, everyone has similar insecurities. And yet the people that I look up to the most have insecurities just like mine when it comes to physical flaws. And they're able to remember this and move past it faster than someone who, let's say, has median IQ and gets stuck on this because the impulsive thought of the flaw itself comes back into their head more often. So yeah, that can happen with median IQ, and that's something to be aware of. Luckily, if you are median IQ, you're aware of that to an extent where you can remind yourself with tools that, you're in your own head in a way. Another thing that low IQ people tend to get stuck on is toxic family members. Low IQ impulses cause bad behavioral practices, especially with parents to children. And if you're median IQ, you will see that behavior reflected yourself because of your low control. You're going to act out to people and then you're going to reflect and say, well, why did I do that? It's obviously not like in my best interest or their best interest to do that. And that behavior seemed almost like animalistic. Like, let's say, I'll get into an example in a second, but you're aware of what you're doing. Very low IQ people aren't even aware of their behavior when they get upset about something or they get extremely happy. They don't really understand like why they're having that reaction as deeply as someone with median or high IQ. High IQ people usually have extreme control over their emotions because they're able to see the before and after of the effects of what they're doing. Now, the same behavior needs to be checked up upon and reflected in yourself if you have median IQ. And we have tools to do that, luckily. We have journals, we have our phones, and at the same time, they can hurt us. But we're more aware of it, so it should be better for us overall. And the final thing I want to mention about having a median IQ is you shouldn't think of yourself as able to or not able to learn something still. A lot of people get this idea, like let's say with the eye color chart of what you're able to do or like where you're going to end up in society. People with the IQ notion is roughly the same thing. If you are in the top 0.1% IQ, you're destined for great things, great jobs, uh, great professions. And if you're in the lower, you're going to be stuck as like a fast food worker or whatever else. Like if you're in the lowest 20%, let's say. Um, well, not even that. I'd probably say like 40%. What's really happening isn't that you were not able to become something great. We see people with extremely low IQs become in insane places in this world that don't really make sense if you take about it, or you think about it like where they're supposed to fall. And you can say, oh, well, it's just by luck, it's just by coincidence, other people got them there. But when it comes to someone with median IQ ending up at a really high place, I'm not going to say it's only luck. Yes, there are some people that fall into that category, but there's also the situation where they just put the time and dedication, which ends up being hard work, to get to a skilled profession level and then rely on that luck to become something greater. An example of this that I'm experiencing myself, okay? I have a friend who I know is extremely high IQ. He mastered the drums and bass, and he can master any instrument. If he just dedicates himself to it, I would say in about like 6 months to a year, like master it to an insane level. And me, on the other hand, it takes me a year to get intermediate, like with insane practice on the guitar. And I don't see that as a bad thing. I still have the ability to get good at guitar, but it's just easier and faster for him to learn. The same thing happens in math class. A lot of people say they're horrible at math. Yeah, sure, I am too. But you know that like if you're median IQ or higher, it's really just takes longer for you to grasp the concept to a level where you're proficient at it and you understand the concept to where you can apply it in the real world. If you're not able to do that, you're going to struggle and you're going to be behind in test scores, quizzes, test scores and stuff like that. While people with higher IQ, they grasp the concept faster. And, that's just the reality of the genetic role of IQ. And you should make sure to follow me because when I talk about my health stuff, that is the intermediary between what you can and can't control. And you can shift the lines by a lot more than you think to learn faster up to your genetic point of how much you can, right? So make sure to stick around for that because it really is interesting how much you can control. But we still need to know the bounds of that. And that's why I made this video. So let me know what you think. Let me know your IQ and let me know what you think about IQ. Peace, guys.